So I was feeling kind of bad because the last video I made I thought was pretty negative, and I kind of wanted to steer away from being too critical of other people on my channel. So I thought I would make a stuff video, because stuff videos are fun. And since Christmas has just passed, I think many of us have more stuff than we used to. And I got a couple of gift cards to Amazon and Barnes & Noble, so I just got some more books, and I thought maybe I would show you my haul. The first one that I'm really excited about, because I really wanted it for a long time, is The Complete Magician's Tables by Stephen Skinner. It's on Llewellyn. It's a pretty hardcover book, and it's just pages and pages that look like this. Charts. And if I can read you briefly from the back, it says, "Tables included in this book: alchemy and alchemists, angels, astrology and astrologers, color scales, demons, feng shui and Taoist magic, geomancy, grimoires, herbs, Kabbalah, letters and alphabets, numbers, magicians, plants, stones, orders, grades and officers, pagan pantheons, perfumes, incenses, planetary and Olympic spirits, sorcery, tarot, and I Ching." So it's lots and lots of information, and I'm a pretty far cry from being any sort of ceremonial magician, and I certainly have no interest in practicing any sort of Taoist magic, but I'm interested in the material nonetheless, and some of it will be very useful, but it's just a reference book, so I'm really excited. It's just pages and pages and pages of charts, and it's a gorgeous hardcover book that'll last a long time, so I'm excited. Yay! Some of the others. This one I've wanted for a while. This is Firechild: The Life and Magic of Maxine Sanders. It's her autobiography, and for those of you who don't know, Maxine Sanders was Alex Sanders' wife and working partner. So for those of you who are interested in Alexandrian craft, this is probably a good read. I haven't read it yet, but I've wanted to. So I think it'll be really, really interesting. Ronald Hutton gave it a good review, which always does a lot for me. Speaking of Ronald Hutton, one of the books I got, this is called Trials of the Moon: Reopening the Case for Historical Witchcraft by Ben Whitmore. I was hesitant to get this book. I've been looking at it for a while, and I've been hesitant because Ben Whitmore, he's not a scholar, okay? I mean, I'd be hesitant to read a critique of a scholarly work from someone who was not himself trained in academia. Whitmore is an Alexandrian priest, and anyway, he's just critical of Hutton's work, which is fine, but I ended up ordering it just because it's really, really well cited. You can see each page, like half the page, is citations, which I really, really appreciate. And the kinds of works that he's citing are scholarly works. So even though I haven't read this book yet, I was made a little bit more confident and inclined to check it out based on how well it seems like he conveyed his research. So that should be interesting. I'll let you know how it goes, and it's a very, very slim little book. So we'll see. The last one from Amazon is Witchcraft in Yorkshire by Patricia Crowther, who is another kind of one of the old ladies of British Wicca. So I'm excited about this. This is another slim one. So this should be fun. I really like books like this. I just think it's a lot more interesting to read some of the people who are writing about Wicca originally than a lot of the people who are writing about it now. Just because the Wicca that Gerald Gardner and Patricia Crowther and Maxine Sanders and all of these other people, the Wicca that they practiced, to me, bears very little resemblance to the Wicca that is practiced by most, especially Americans, now. I mean, I think certainly most of the time it's recognizably Wicca, but the differences are so significant. And that's where people get into the argument about, you know, oh, well, what constitutes a real witch, and do you need to be initiated, and blah, blah, blah. All that other crap it's really rooted in, I mean, they're hugely different, hugely different. I don't think Gerald Gardner, for example, would recognize what someone like Silver Ravenwolf does, for example. I mean, maybe it's still witchcraft and that's fine, but it's not Wicca as practiced by Gerald Gardner and, you know, the people who were initiated into his tradition, for example. And I'm not expressing an opinion either way, but I'm just saying that's kind of where the debate stems from. So anyway, so I think it's really interesting to read their works as opposed to a lot of stuff that's coming out now. Which brings us to the Barnes & Noble haul, which does include stuff that's coming out now. The first book that I know a lot of you have, and I just picked up, and I'll probably regret it, but it was a gift card, right? So it's like not really spending money, so that makes it okay. And I'm in Alabama, so you can imagine what the New Age Magical Studies section of the Barnes & Noble in Alabama looks like. Pickings are pretty slim. This is The Wiccan Year by Judy Ann Nock. And I've seen some of you guys post about this before. And I got it because, I mean, most of her history is pretty lame, but she has a lot of crafts. And I'm very crafty, and I love decorating the house for Sabbats, and I usually throw parties for my friends. And it's a lot of fun. So I got this book primarily for the recipes and the crafts. Even though, just kind of skimming the book, it sounds like her perspective is primarily like Greek pantheon and stuff that I'm not necessarily uber familiar with. And it's the same kind of stuff as far as histories of the Sabbats and, you know, what they mean. It's the kind of stuff that you can get in any other book ever published ever. But it was inexpensive, basically free for me, and it had some good craft ideas, so I picked it up. I got a new tarot deck. This one I was excited about. It got some good reviews. It's called the Shadowscapes Tarot. I hate when they come in big boxes like this because it always makes them more expensive, and the only reason they come in boxes like this is because they come with like a companion book. And if you already read cards, the companion book usually, it's just like another companion volume of stuff you already know. And it would be a lot cheaper if they didn't have the book. So I wish they'd at least give you the option to buy a deck individually, and some of them you do, but this particular one you didn't. But it's a really, really beautiful deck. I don't know how well you can see on this camera, but this is the Fool. It's just gorgeous. I actually, my favorite cards, my favorite suit is Wands, because she's got foxes in all of them. Here's the Ace of Wands. I just think that's really, really gorgeous. And I don't necessarily have any kind of particular affinity for foxes. I just think that the way she's drawn them is really, really lovely. And then there's the back. I don't know how much that matters. I really love tarot cards. I'm not a very good reader. I mean, I can read cards, but I'm not like remarkably intuitive or anything like that. Swords, the theme is kind of swans. I just think it's really pretty. So, like, here's the Three of Swords. That's pretty intense. The swan run through. Like I said, I don't know how well you can see that. But really, really beautiful deck. So I was excited to add it to the collection. I have several decks. So, hooray! And the last book I picked up, which I was also hesitant to buy, this is Occult America by Mitch Horowitz, The Secret History of How Mysticism Shaped Our Nation. And I was hesitant to buy it just because it's on Bantam. It's not like a scholarly press per se. And the guy who, the editor, the author, he's not a scholar. Okay, so it's not like I'm biased or like I think you have to have an advanced degree in order to be able to write well or have anything to say, but scholars are trained. This is what they do, and they have usually greater access to materials, more time to research, funding, etc., etc. And a lot of these books, a lot of the time, they're written by journalists. So whatever. But this book was recommended to me by a professor, and it got good reviews from professors. So I thought I'd pick it up. And this is a lot of what I focus on in school. And I thought it would be a pretty quick read. It's not a long book. And it seemed pretty interesting. So, anyway, this is my last book. So there you go. There is my haul. So, this is what I will be doing for the next several days. So, anyway, I hope you guys have been having a good night, a good week, whatever. And I'll try to keep the ranting to a minimum, just because, I don't really like posting that stuff either, but it made me feel better, so what have you. But anyway, I'll see you next time.